Hey everyone, my name is Sky Cheyenne and welcome back again to Rebuild Reality. So you'll have to excuse me if there is some noise outside. There's been construction, sudden drilling, sudden pounding, sudden big trucks going by. So if that happens, we're just going to ignore it and just go with it. So there is something that's come to my awareness that is obviously a really big sticking point for a lot of people in all of this stuff that we talk about here on the channel and in the world of manifestation in general. So we're always told that you need to be who you want to be if you had what you wanted. You need to see yourself that way. But as it turns out, most people are trying to convince themselves that they are who they want to be, or they are just outright pretending that they are who they want to be. And that is not the same as you having decided who you want to be. Because one is where people are going about it where they're like, okay, if I do this long enough, if I can try and convince myself, at least to a certain degree, and I can pretend long enough that I am this person who has what I want, then I will somehow cause an effect on something outside of me somewhere that it will then change my reality. And that's not what's happening here at all, because there's nothing outside of you. Everything is within you, which also means that when we think, oh, this can stop me and that can stop me and all these things can stop me, none of that is true. None of it is true. Anything you decide, oh, this is going to take this long, or, oh, if I do that and I don't do this, then it won't be right, or absolutely anything isn't going to stop you. It doesn't have the ability to stop you because there's nothing outside of you. All you have to do is decide who you are now and stick with it. So I know that we've talked about this a bit before, but the connection that people aren't making is that there is a difference between trying to influence, believing that you are influencing something else, that something has power over you, and making the choice that, like whatever this experience is, I am just choosing that, yeah, I'm going to be this person now. I, myself, for myself, am going to decide to see myself as this person now. From now on, that's just who I'm going to be. I realize that, maybe if I'm like, oh, I look differently, or I've got all this money, or I've got a new house that obviously I don't see here, I understand that that doesn't matter at all. Why? Because there's no out there. Like we've spoken of so many times before. People think that when they look, that these things are real, but those things aren't there when you don't look at them. Now that may sound pretty far-fetched, and Einstein himself once complained to a friend, do you really think that the moon isn't there when you're not looking at it? Well, turns out that's actually true. Because whatever we're looking up, we're lighting up, and we are literally bringing life to it. By focusing on it, we're literally bringing it to life. And when we no longer focus on it, when it's no longer part of our reality, it goes back into the closet of potential. Nothing's actually happening there. Nothing's continuing to happen. But if something comes back into our life and we're like, oh, I had this friend and I haven't seen them for 2 years. And then they come back into your life and then they tell you all these things that have been happening to them. Well, that's just a story. That's just a story to fit in with your reality, which is either going to fit where you're at or it's going to be what you expect. So when we are doing something just because we think it's gonna make something that's not us change things into what we want them to be, then that's just not what's going on, because there's nothing here. So the only thing that is here is consciousness. As we know, consciousness creates reality. As the father of quantum physics, Max Planck, very correctly stated back in the 1800s. So, but he's not the only one that came to that understanding that it's not matter that then gains consciousness. It is consciousness that creates matter, because all matter is part of the illusion. None of that is real either. So when we are applying 3D rules of cause and effect, if I do this thing, then it's gonna cause something outside of me to change to what I want it to be. It's gonna cause my SP to, to call me, or to text me, or to show up at my door, or to fall madly in love with me, But in reality, when you decide, yeah, this is who I am, knowing full well that nothing out there can do anything about that, then it's just a fact. You just know it's a fact. And then it's like, yeah, well, there we go. Why am I going to keep looking or keep letting 3D dictate anything to me if I understand that that's just part of the illusion? And that's what people do. So when they're like, okay, I'm this person, I have this thing, they've gone through all this effort to convince themselves, or to, if they're pretending, or if they're hoping or pleading or whatever it is. And then when 3D doesn't show them what they've been affirming for, or what they've been trying to convince themselves of, then they kind of the whole thing kind of falls apart for them. And then they're like, oh, I was just making it up, that's not real, or I wasn't doing it right, or I wasn't doing the right thing. So then they just throw in the towel and go back to the drawing board again, instead of realizing that that's just like, whatever, I understand that that can't do anything to me. It acts like it's this big thing that has power over us, but that's only because we give it that power. We believe that it has that power, and that's the only reason it appears that way. So you can think of it a bit, really, like Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz. And in one of the last scenes, she goes to see the great and powerful Oz, and she's terrified. She's absolutely terrified at what appears to be real before her. But then her faithful dog, much like our faithful inner knowing, pulled back the curtain to reveal the truth. That instead of some great and powerful wizard behind all things that had the power to control your life and to say what you can and can't have, there was just a little old man there who couldn't do really anything at all. And once she recognized that he had no power over her, then he became her greatest asset, because then he was able to help her, because she was no longer a slave to it. She revealed the truth of it, that it has no power over her at all. And therefore, today, I would like to present to you the keys to your kingdom in the form of the knowledge that you can be anyone you want, just literally by deciding that it's true for you, and that there is nothing that can stop you from doing that. So don't cave in to 3D. Continue to remind yourself that there's nothing there. So there is literally, truly, nothing that can stop you, despite popular opinion.